What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing moderation commands part 2. So in the last video, or a few videos ago, we did moderation commands part 1, which had kick, ban, and warn. But in this video, it's going to have slow mode, purge, and mute. And the mute is going to be the most complicated one because it's going to have some subcommands in it because it's the mute rule. So you can do a command to set the mute rule. So the bot assigns the role to whenever you do the mute command. It has mute and unmute, and there's also timed mute if you want to do that. When a message is received, these are all the command handlers. We need command handler for this, so make sure you import a command handler. So if command equals slow mode, and then if the member message author has permission manage channels, because of course they'll need permission to set slow mode to a channel. And then if they don't have permission, they will reply you need manage channels permission for that command. And in the next if, we're seeing if our bot itself has permission. So just go to Discord and just copy your bot's token. So not token, client ID. So just right click on your bot and click copy ID, or you can go to Discord developer portal. You can go to Discord developer portal. Actually, I already have another one. Just go to OAuth 2 and click copy client ID and just paste it in here, and then else reply I need manage channels permission, and then these are all the number permissions. So the first one is going to be or. So if arguments, if you don't know, arguments is whatever they type after the command. So if I type, for example, dash slow mode, actually I shouldn't be, I'll go to my record server and dash slow mode 10. So it would set arguments to 10. So right now 10 would be arguments, and not counting the spaces. Don't think it counts the space or anything. So arguments would be 10. So if arguments is even or arguments is odd. So that's just to make sure that it's a number, because if I just type like slow mode test, then test wouldn't be even or odd because it's not even a number. So that would be 1, and then and, which includes that or in it, it's going to be if in the arguments less than or equal to, and arguments is greater than or equal to 1. Because on Discord, if you go to any channel, then the slow mode limit is 6 hours, and I looked it up. 6 hours is this amount of seconds, 21600. So the max would be 21600. So it has to be either 21600 or less than that, and also greater than or equal to 1, because of course I can't go less than 1. And then it's gonna be else reply please enter a valid number of seconds between 1 and 21600. And if all of those ifs are good, everything's good, it would set this channel time block in the channel section. Channel, message channel, and time would be arguments, so whatever they typed as the number. And then reply the slow mode for this channel has been updated. And you can make this an embed if you want. You would just have to create new embed and then set the color and everything in the description if you want. In the last video I explained how to do slash commands, so from now on I'm gonna explain the slash command version and the normal version, because for example some people might want to do it in both ways. For example, my bot, which is SamBot, it has slash commands and normal commands. Every slash command is also a normal command, and vice versa. So the user can choose what to use. So just go to the slash commands GUI by pressing this register slash commands button and log into your bot. And then once it loads, it should show all of the commands. So I'm on my Scratch for Discord, my test bot right now, because I usually have I had this command registered before, but for this one I don't. So the name would be slow mode or whatever you want to call it. Description would be sets slow mode to your channel. Go into your command and go to command parameters and just make this an integer because it needs to be a number. So an integer, and the option name would be seconds, and the description would be number of seconds to set slow mode to, and it needs to be required to, and click create. And then over here I have the slash command version done too. If interaction name equals slow mode and the member interaction author has permission manage channels, actually you should make these two ifs separate. Make sure to not make these in one over here, so because I'll explain it. So just make it 2 and add an else. A lot of people actually make that mistake, and just move that. So okay, so in the first if, it would be if interaction name equals slow mode and the member interaction author has this permission. So that would mean if I did any other command except slow mode, then it would reply whatever you put in here. So it would reply you need manage channels permission. So make sure not to do that. So because if you combine these two, the interaction name and the permission, then it would make it so that if the person did any other command except slow mode, because the part of the if is if interaction name equals slow mode, and then so if it doesn't equal slow mode, then it would do whatever is in the else section. So and then it would reply that you need permission, and then that would just not make sense. So make sure they're separate. I already fixed that for mine. And if you remember interaction author, and then over here you can set the time variable. You can just create a time variable to get into your option name seconds. And I also did another one. You don't have to do this, but I made it private. You can name it whatever you want. And if it's true, then it would mean that only the person that did it would be able to see it. So if only you can see the confirmation message, and I'll make it required because it's a boolean. Boolean is true or false, so you can choose true or false. So if you do slash slow mode, then it didn't register the parameters yet, but I can just wait for that. But yeah, so but you don't have to do this if you don't want to, because some moderation commands, people might want the people not to see the message just so it looks better, I guess. So and then it would just be private. So I did this for my own bot. I did it a little different. So the rest of them would be just the same though, but make sure you replace arguments with the time variable, and set the announce variable to, for my bot it was announce, but in this one I made it private. So you can do set private to get boolean option name announce or private, channel interaction channel time, and the ephemeral would be the private variable. So because if they choose false, then the ephemeral would be false. So that would mean that everybody can see it. But if ephemeral is true, then it would mean that only the person could see it. So for example, the thing that we just did, it says invalid interaction application command. So, and it's like only you can see this, and then you would be able to dismiss the message. That's the thing that FML means. And this one registered. So slow mode seconds. If I enter like a letter, then it would just turn red over here, and private is true or false. So I can do true, and then it would like shake and highlight that portion to show that it's not valid. And then I can make it any integer, and it would work. But right now it's not online. And that's pretty much it for the slow mode, and now let's get to the next command. Now we're gonna do the purge command, purge or clear. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing, just different names. So in this one we'll also need the command handler. I'm gonna leave the mute for the last because mute is the most complicated. So you can change the name to the command. So dash or whatever your prefix is, clear, and then we're gonna have some ifs. So if you want, you can set it to need a permission. If the member message author has permission, manage channels or manage messages. I'm gonna make it manage messages. Else, you can add a reply over here if you want. It would reply. I'm not gonna do anything right now, just to speed it up. And then if it does, then do another if, and this would just check all of the number things again. So it would have to be between 1 and 99 because Discord limits it to 99, and 1 because it can't be a negative number. So just do and then in one of the circles in that and put another and change it to or, and then in one circle of that or put is even and change that to arguments. So if arguments is even or if arguments is odd, and you can put one of these. Actually, we need another and inside that and put arguments. Arguments is less than or equal to, and then put a number. So either this number or less than that number. So it's 99. And just duplicate that and put in 1 and change this to greater than equal to. So it would have to be a number, and that number would have to be greater between 1 and 99. And then else, you can do anything you want. You can reply hey, just reply whatever you want, or do anything inside there actually. And now you can go to channels, and then here's the purge block, like the dark blue one. In the channel, message channel, purge arguments messages. So that would purge whatever number they said. And then you actually have to put the reply before the purge, because usually you would put it after, but in this one you have to put it before because I don't know why, but after you do the command, it wouldn't reply. It wouldn't do anything after that block. So I would make it reply purging messages, and then it would delete that amount of blocks, and it would also delete this one that we just replied before, and it would also delete the command message if they did it in the command version. If they did it in the slash command, there's no message to delete. And the slash command version would be the same thing. Just go to your slash command register and create a new command. It would be purge or clear. I'll do clear. Clears messages from a channel. And then you can create that, and then go into it, create some parameters. I think my browser is a little laggy now, but make it an integer. Option name is messages. Number of messages to clear. and make it required. You can add any more parameters if you want, and duplicate all this and put it in there, just to start from there, and then just change the things with an warning, change the things with an error to whatever the is supposed to be. So change the message author to interaction author, and these are all fine, but you're gonna have to set another variable for that. I'm just gonna name it messages. Set messages to, it would be set messages to, oh actually you have to put the interaction name, forgot about that. If interaction name equals clear, put that in that, and put that in that. Okay, so and that would make it so the variable, so it activates in that command, of course. So to set the variable to the integer, get integer option name messages, and then change the reply block to interaction reply. I'm not gonna do that right now, just to save time. And for these, I would recommend making it ephemeral, because if it's an error, it would be better if it's only visible for the person that's having the error. And that's pretty much it for the purge too. The purge was pretty simple. And next up is the mute and all of the subcommands in the mute. So first, we're gonna have to do a command named mute role, because in the mute role, the member sets, they set a mute role that they want the bot to give whenever you do the mute command. So make sure this is a command handler, so it has both of these. And if command equals -mute role, and or whatever your prefix is, and then if the member message author has permission to manage roles, you can change this permission if you want. And these are just a number of things again. Just if arguments is even or odd, so that makes it so that it just makes sure it's a number. And get the role with the ID equal to arguments does not equal null. So null basically means nothing. Null means that it doesn't even exist, so it basically just means nothing. So over here we're just making sure that the role that they said, the role exists. So they're gonna say the ID, so it's gonna be like -mute role and then an ID of a role. I don't know if I have any roles on this server. I'll just have a bot role, so copy ID, and then mute role, and then it would set the mute role to this ID. So if get the role with the ID equal to arguments does not equal null, so if that exists. And then if these are just, you don't have to do this, but these are just to see if the mute role already exists. So if not, mute role exists in database, then it sets the mute role to arguments, and then the replies the mute role was set. You should make this an embed, just so it looks better. Else if the mute role already exists in the database, then it will send a mute role already exists for this server. Do you want to override it? And in the channel message channel, and wait for answer from member message author. I don't think that we used this block yet, so it basically just listens for an answer from a member. So this can also be like mention member or any member. So wait for answer from member message author during 0.25 minutes, and then when an answer is received, if answer of member equals yes, then do over here the mute role was changed. And if no answer is received, you can also make it reply something, And same thing over here, you should probably make that embed so it looks better. And then please enter a valid ID, that's the else for the number things. And this one, you don't have permission, that's the else for the manage roles permission. So now the mute command. The mute command is pretty simple actually. So if the command is mute, and if the member message author has permission manage roles, else, I didn't add any else's over here, but you can make it reply stuff. And if mention member does not equal null. So that's the same thing over here. It's just making sure that they mention the member. So it's because they'll have to mention a member that they want to mute. And if mute role exists in database, and else you can reply. You have to set a mute role first by doing -mute role, and then if all of those ifs are good, then it adds the role. Get the role with the ID equal to mute role from the database to member mention member. So that's the mute command, and then it replies that member was muted. And then the unmute is basically the same thing, the exact same thing actually. I just right clicked and duplicated that to get that one. And then just make sure to change the command, and everything else is the same except the remove role and of course the message. So instead of add role, just do remove role. Get the role with the ID equal to mute role from member mention member. So there is a way to see if that member already has that or doesn't have that, because in preview 371 there's another block over here that says if member has role and then the role. But I'm using 425 right now. If you want to use 371 or 437, actually not 371, 437. They're basically the same thing, but 437 is the more updated version. So you can put like if the member mention member has role, get the role with the ID equal to mute role. You can also do that if you want, but I'm not doing that right now. And that's it for the unmute. And then the temp mute. Temp mute, you can name this whatever you want. Some people name it timed mute, but be sure to not put spaces in here, because in the command handler, in the Scratch for Discord command handler, you can't put spaces in the command name. So if you have a space, then it won't work. So make sure there are no spaces, so you can't put like temp mute or timed space mute. And everything over here is the same too, all the permissions and the ifs. We just added this, which is if the numbers, so just make sure it's even or odd, so that just make sure it's a number. And then it adds the mute role to member mention member. It replies that the member is muted for argument seconds, and it waits that number of seconds, and then after removes the role from the mention member. If you want, you can also add another reply here that member was unmuted, or if you can even send a message to the mention member. But that's it for today. So we did slow mode, purge, mute role, mute, unmute, and temp mute. So that's a lot of commands for today, and comment down below if you want me to do a buttons tutorial. And if you have any questions, make sure to join my Discord server. You can ask questions there, or just chat if you want, or even share your bot. And that's pretty much it for today's video, and I'll see you next time.